Hello everybody, I am Sam, you can see the Dragon Team here today, and welcome to PAVA Alternative Music Talk, where each and every other week or so, we talk about something that's currently going on in the alternative world, whether it be an album, or a band, or something along those lines. Granted, most of the time I've been just doing alternative albums, but this time, actually, no, we're still going to do another alternative album. For those, and it's going to be the new album by Awolnation, Run. For those who have never seen any of my videos before, or my PAVA videos before, um, I tend to ramble a lot, and I tend to just rumble and just ramble and all that stuff. Don't really get to the point too easily. So if you're not into that, then please leave. Also, I will not be doing too much. I actually will not be showing any of the music, or letting you guys listen to any of the music throughout on the album. So if you're not into that either, and you want to see fancy clips, you're not going to see that. I apologize, because iTunes, not iTunes, but YouTube is a butt about that. So, yeah, please leave if you're kind of expecting that. For those who are staying and want to hear someone ramble, just want to point out real quickly that this artwork is not mine. It belongs to Awolnation or whoever owns the artwork for it. So, yeah, now that all that fancy bullshit and beat poop is out of the way, let's get right into it. And let's talk about a little bit about the stuff off the album. First, going into this album, there was a lot of hype for me, at least. There was, of course, that big song "Sail," which, by the way, I got free off iTunes, which is why I think everyone should have an iTunes account, if and only if just because you want to get the free shit. If all you ever do is get the free shit, that is fine, because some of the shit you get off iTunes is gonna be good, maybe some of it. I got several good stuff off of it. Hey Ho, or Ho Hey, however it is, by the Lumineers. That was free off iTunes. There's several songs that you might hear on the alternative radio stations that were free off iTunes at one point. Several of them have been free. So just want to point that out. iTunes has a great free section. I did pre-order this album off iTunes. So, yeah, there was a lot of hype for me going into this album, and I'm sure there's several people who hear the song "Sail" are going to go, wow, are we going to hear a lot of the same stuff? And for some of those people who like this album, or who have heard of this album, when I first bought this album, I expected to hear like a lot of songs that were going to be along the lines of kind of "Sail," more or less, and a lot of sad songs. And granted, there are a lot of sad songs, but most of them have kind of a better sweet sound to them, or like a bittersweet sadness to them. I mean, there were sad meanings behind the songs, but they have more of an upbeat feeling. The first album he did was Megalithic Symphony, which he did like 2011. And the big song, of course, off that was "Sail." The other big songs off of that were "Kill Your Heroes and Not Your Fault." Those songs were pretty big, but there was not really too much more of a better sadness songs like "Sail" was. In my opinion, I feel like there was a lot more songs like "Kill Your Heroes" and "Not Your Fault" had more of a bittersweet sadness to them, you know, where it had more of a lighter sadness to them. Like there was a few songs, all I needed was had more of a sweet sadness to it. And I feel like maybe there was not a good mix of it. But going into this album, I expected him, because he's just one person who is Awolnation. I think his name is Bruno something. I can't remember his last name for the life of me. Very bad with names, especially unless I memorize them like 500 times. I can never remember the name of the names of people who behind groups. I can never remember who is the front man of Seether or something like that, despite looking up 1,000 times. Though I can remember each and every single name of each and every single Pokemon ever created. That tells you what I'm interested in. I can tell you what type they are. I can tell you what moves they'll probably be able to learn. I can tell you what they're weak to. I can tell you what they're good at. I can tell you all that meaningless BS, but I can't tell you who is the last name of the guy who is behind Awolnation. Silly, I know, but whatever. Um, so like I was saying before I got on a little tangent there, going into this album, which is titled Run, I expected it to be as good, if not better, than the Megalithic Symphony. And listening to this album, I feel like rarely I feel like anything can almost never live up to the hype of its predecessor. Like going into something, if there's hype for it, it almost rarely ever reaches the expectations, let alone blows it away. I feel like it's impossible to live up hype unless there is no hype to begin with. And I feel like, to me, I feel like Run lived up to its hype. I personally feel satisfied. I feel like this album was better than what I expected it to be. Granted, only slightly better than what I expected it to be, but it's still better than my expectations were going into this album. And I enjoy being surprised and blown away, and like enjoying something more than I feel like I will. It's kind of hard to avoid hype, especially if you're doing album reviews or if you're like review stuff like I do. You kind of want to avoid the hype so you can give it a fair and just a review, but it's kind of hard to do so with just blindly go into something without hype. It's really hard to do that. And going into this album, there was hype, and I feel like it definitely lived up to it. Of course, the big song off of this album that everyone has probably heard by now, especially if you're clicking this album review, is Hollow Moon, or better known as Bad Wolf. It is the probably going to be the biggest song off this album, in my opinion. I think that's probably the song that's going to receive the most mainstream attention, and I believe personally, and it is justified. I don't think like this song is going to be better than The Sale. I don't think like any of these songs off this album are going to be bigger than The Sale. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about many things before. Like I thought that that Walk the Moon wouldn't see too much more mainstream attention than the last song and the song, but I was wrong. You Shut Up at the Dance is probably the #1 song in the alternative genre right now, at least according to iTunes. I thought it might be a big song, but I didn't think it would be that big. Anyway, back on subject. And Hollow Moon is a great song. So you guys are probably wondering, are the other songs off this album good? Besides that, yes. I feel like this whole entire album, start to finish, is good. It's better. I do feel like this album is definitely better than Megalithic Symphony. The problem I had with the last album, honestly, was that there was not enough balance to it. There's several good songs off that album, but there was not a great balance in terms of tone. I feel like it was kind of lopsided in more of the bittersweet sadness. And I feel like some of the songs I feel like there was just several songs that were shorter than they should be. Both albums have 14 songs on them. I just want to point that out. However, there's several songs off the first album that have only less than 30 seconds and are not even songs. They're just kind of, well, more or less filler, just random there. And there's also a song of Nights of Shame where it's 15 minutes long and almost half of it, if not more than half of it, just instrumental. Which is not terrible, but I never really enjoy that. I never really see too much point in that. I get there's kind of creative ideas in there, but well, oh well. In this album, however, there's definitely a lot more of a balance in here. There's the same number of songs, but the shortest song is 2 minutes of 8 seconds, which is Headrest for My Soul, which by the way I really do like. And the longest song off this album that I can see is 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Only a whole entire 3 minutes longer. And I feel like it's that whole entire song longer. I do feel like it's, it's not overdone. It's not too much to ask. It's not too much to ask a viewer to listen to, 15 minutes is long. Is a lot to make your viewer or listener listen to. I feel like it's a little too much to ask, I feel like. In my opinion, especially of the main consumer audience. I feel. I could be wrong, so people will point out just really thinking, no, you're wrong, it's perfect, blah blah blah. But I feel like there's a lot more balance. And same thing with tone. There's no real theme here, which I do like. I like to there be a theme when I listen to albums. There's no real theme to Awolnation stuff. I realize I'm not going to expect in the future to be a theme. There's a certain sound. There's definitely a certain sound in this album. There was no theme in the last album. There's no real set tone. There's a kind of a rhythm to this album, though, and I do enjoy that. There's good, almost an equal number of like better sadness songs, and there's bittersweet sadness songs, and there's just sweet sadness songs. I feel like there's a good mix of that. Sure, I feel like some of the songs could have been a little longer. Some of the songs should have been a little shorter. The biggest example of this is Lie, Love, Live. That's a mouthful. Try saying that 5 times fast. I feel like that was like because there's like a whole entire minute in that song where it's just pure instrumental, which, you know, isn't too bad, but I feel like, if you're doing it, if the song is really good, and I feel like it would have been better if like he just did not have a whole entire minute of instrumental. Like, I feel like there was no real point there. I mean, I get the idea that he kind of wanted to do that. Another thing I like about this album is that I feel like he definitely listened to what critics were saying, what his fans were saying, and what people were saying about his first album. And I feel like going into this next album, here, Run, he definitely did try to appeal to the audience, or try to make it better. He did try to polish it. I feel like this album is a lot more polished than the last album. I feel like it's more experienced, like he's more knowledgeable. He was saying that like he did not he would just kind of, after when he got successful the first time, he just kind of hid in the cabin in the woods more or less, and just kind of just went away from society for a little bit, went off the grid. But I feel like he said that he was not paying too much attention to what critics and people saying, but I feel like he did to a certain degree. I feel like he was paying attention to what they were saying and tried to give people something better than his first time. I feel like he definitely did try. I feel like he learned from what his mistakes were off the first album and did try to do better this album. And that's what I like to see and hear from an artist or a group. Too many times I've seen artists or group just kind of not do much better than the last album, and just kind of don't really seem to learn much from the last album. I see that time and time again. And this time I actually feel like Awolnation did try to grow not only as a person, but as Awolnation, he did try to get better. He tried to learn and try to think about what would make his album better. And like there's no real theme here, and the fact that there's a song off this album which has the same album as the song, I don't like that. I feel like those are things I'm going to take against this album. Those, like, a few things against this album I'm probably going to take against it. Sorry. I know, I'm a terrible person. But I don't like it, you know. Especially with, like, the first song off the album. Like, the name of the album is Run. The first song off that album is Run. Same thing with the last album, you know. You probably didn't even realize, but there was a song called Melodic Symphony off the album Melodic Symphony, because it only is about a minute long. And, you know, it's most of the good stuff off that album, the really good stuff, is like the later half of it. But still, you know, I just think it's a bit of a cop-out in my opinion. Sure, maybe he had some artistic reasoning behind doing that. I think you should just, like, name the song after what you think there's going to be a theme there. And I feel like there's no real theme here. There's just kind of a lot of... I mean, if there's a theme here, I feel like the theme here is going to be more or less about him realizing how much the first album got him, and realizing how much he has to grow and how much he has grown. I feel like there's a little bit of a theme there, but it's not a heavy theme. It's kind of a small, subtle theme. It's only throughout several songs, like I Am and Lie, Love, Live, Love, and that's the only real theme I feel like there is here. Maybe there's a deeper theme here that I'm not catching or not realizing. I'm kind of oblivious at times. I will freely admit that. Maybe I'm not giving this album the full credit that maybe it deserves, but I feel like this album is definitely better than the first one. Do I feel like there's going to be a song off this album that's going to be bigger than the first, than Sail? Maybe, I don't know. I feel like Hollow Moon is definitely in the running to do so. I feel like if there's going to be a song off this album that gets more radio attention than Sail did, I feel like Hollow Moon will be that song. But I feel like there's also several other good songs off this album, and not just the songs you got first from pre-ordering, Run and Windows. Both of those have a more of a kind of the same kind of tone that Sail did, more of a better sadness to it. All the songs have a sadness to it, and I do enjoy that. You know, he has a certain sound, and that is a bit of a sadness feeling. His songs are not very happy. Even if they sound happy, if you actually read the lyrics and pay attention to it, you realize they're not that happy. That's what I've come to realize with Awolnation. You know. But, yeah, there's no real theme here. And some of the songs off this album that are really good. Some of those, I'm going to name a few of them. Jailbreak is pretty good. Like I said, Lie, Love, Live, Love is also pretty good, minus the fact there's not one entire minute of instrumental. And some of the other songs that have more of just a sweet sadness to them are Woman, Woman, and Headrest for My Soul. Headrest for My Soul actually has an interesting story behind it, but by the fact that the instrument, the guitar he used to record that song was the very guitar he learned how to play on. And I feel like I enjoyed the meaning behind that song, and I enjoyed the sound to it. It's different, it's slightly different tone than most of his album, but it fits. It definitely fits, and I enjoy that album a lot. I feel like that's the hidden gem of this album. I feel like that's the hidden. To me, I feel like that's the best song off the album, in my opinion. Probably not going to be the most popular song off the album, but I feel like it's really good. I feel like it should receive some mainstream, some radio attention. Like, even if it's just alternative radio stations playing the song, I feel like someone should play the song on the radios, because I did enjoy this song that much. Woman, Woman is another good sad, just sweet sad song to this album, and just adds another layer. I enjoy this that song a lot, you know. All in all, I do think, who do I recommend this to? I recommend this to alternative music fans first and foremost. Especially the ones who enjoyed the more of a newer song that's been coming out in the last 5-6 years. This will definitely fit. I do think Awolnation has established himself as one of the key artists / groups within the alternative genre of this decade. I think he's definitely established himself as a key artist with this album, and this album definitely is better than the last one in many ways. It's more polished. There's a lot more to it. There's more depth to it, I feel. I feel like it just in general is a better album, and I do recommend this to people. I would actually recommend this to pretty much anybody who is a fan of music in general, because if you like Hollow Moon, you're probably like and you like some of the songs off of Melodic Symphony, you're probably definitely going to like this enjoy this album. But that's just my opinion. Final ranking goes, I'm honestly going to give it 9.3. There's a lot of stuff going for this album. There's a few things going against it, as I said earlier. But that's just my opinion. I'm Sammy15, the Dragon Tamer. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and all that silly stuff. I'll see you guys next time.